Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. We got 2K's back in the saddle where he should be. I did give Mrs. 2K's a nice little shout out on the show last week.
No, it was a great weekend. It's her third year in a row doing it. Without a hiccup. She did a little bit less training this year. Well, I mean, we've been busy.
Yeah.
With our oldest daughter with volleyball, our middle daughter cheerleading, our Nolan, our youngest son, with football. We've been on the go nonstop. Really have had no time to even relax, let alone for Chell to be able to do her training. She shows up, does what she needs to do, handles her business, and runs another one. So it's pretty incredible.
Kudos to her. I don't even like driving half a marathon, let alone running it. No. But speaking of your youngest, how did the first coaching with flag football go for 2Ks?
I had a lot of fun with it. It was one of those things. Well, I mean, anybody that really knows me knows I'm not the most vocal person. I do I do enjoy coaching. I've coached varsity baseball as an assistant for the last few years. I'm not a real big time vocal person. I like coaching like the more advanced level because I have a hard time with like just the basics. I never and so going into football, a sport already that I'm not all that comfortable coaching, and then coaching basics with young kids. I ended up having like the time of my life with it, and I was actually really, really upset. I know I'm not as upset as Nolan is about the season being over, but even when it all came to an end, I was like, man, I'm pretty bummed out about this season being over already. I mean, it is time. It's nice to have a little bit of like this was the first weekend where we didn't have anything going on. We didn't do anything. We sat around the house, watched football all day yesterday. Sat around the house, watched football all day today. So that part of it's nice, but. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it, and I will be back next season as long as they'll have me back. I will be back helping again.
You heard it here first, 2K crew. He has signed his letter of intent for next year, which is awesome. But yeah, speaking of awesome 2Ks, we got an awesome World Series going on.
Yeah,
we had a hell of a Saturday for college football, and to end pretty much the 4 o'clock slate, we had a walk-off Hail Mary in the NFL. So I'm ready to get this going. Are you?
Absolutely.
All right, let's hop into this. Thank you, everyone, for watching live, whether you're on our TikTok feed over here. We got Twitter. We've got Facebook. We've got everything going on. So, and for those of you that are on the audio side, you are the real OGs, and I want to thank you for that. But yeah, wherever you're at, follow, hit the like. Seeing some hearts come up over there on TikTok. Thank you for everybody. But 2Ks, let's get into this right as the train is going by, which is awesome. I don't have too many news points here, but just because I wanted to save some of the tweets as we get along into the show here. But there is one that's near and dear to my heart. And let's see, where is it? Here it is. 20 years ago today, the Red Sox ended the curse. Now, fun little fact about me and my Red Sox fandom is that I really started gravitating towards this team in 2003. Mm-hmm. Just that bunch of guys, and if you watch the doc that just came out, they did a really good job, not only highlighting the 2004 season, but also did a little background into the 2003 season, the walk off with Aaron Boone in the ALCS, that whole thing, as well as, of course, running the table in 2004. But that, I grew up a Braves fan because my cousin was in their farm system and almost got there. So as a kid, mom and dad got cable so we can get TBS so we can watch the Braves. And it seems like every time the Braves would get to the World Series, the Yankees would beat them.
Yeah.
So I grew up a Yankee hater. So I figured, all right, well, still love the Braves, but why not? Let's take this Yankee hater to the next level, and let's become a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
And that's when I gravitated towards this 03 season, or this 03 team, and I've been there ever since. So yeah, even if you're not a Red Sox fan, that doc is actually really, really good and really well done. So it's on Netflix. I believe it's called The Comeback. So yeah, big shout out to them. Big shout out to the 2004 team. Happy 20th anniversary. But 2Ks, let's jump into this World Series here. I mean, I kind of talked about it last week leading up to this, and you and I kind of touched on it last time you were here. This is what MLB wants.
Mhm.
The two biggest, markets, the two biggest teams, two of the biggest spenders. You have Ohtani, you have Judge, you have Soto, you have Mookie. I mean, this is as star-studded as any World Series that I can ever remember.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And just to kind of be, hand up, I took the Dodgers in 7,
Mhm.
and I did that last week.
Mhm.
Took the Dodgers in 7, and I just want to get your thoughts as to first two games. Obviously, both won by the Dodgers in very different kind of ways here. Not well, I guess mostly we've seen a lot of home runs is basically
Right.
what the offense has been for both teams. So kind of give me your lay of the land, because you and I haven't really talked about it, and the 2K crew they're aching to
Mhm.
hear 2K's breakdown so far of the World Series.
To me, it's really, really simple. Where's Aaron Judge?
Actually have
That's the biggest point.
well,
You think of Yankee greats, Yankees earning their pinstripes, their big moments. Aaron Judge, arguably the best regular season Yankee of all time.
Mhm.
And I mean, this is the time where you have to have your biggest moments. We're seeing it on the other side with Freddie Freeman
Oh yeah.
having, I mean, the roller coaster of a season that he's had, both on the field and off the field, has
Yes.
had a lot, missed a lot of games, and now in the biggest situation on the biggest stage, he's showing out, doing what your 3-hitter is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And and that's big hits, drive-in runs. And Aaron Judge has been up to bat in big situations and has not been able to do anything with it. And the way that this Yankees team is built, it's Soto and Judge in the middle of that lineup that have to do the work.
Mhm.
And for so far, this far into the playoffs, like Judge he's got more games to do it and figure it out. But so far to this point, if it wasn't for Stanton, they're probably not playing in this World Series. And he's been the guy that's kind of carried them. Flip it over to the Dodgers side, it just seems like, yeah, their top guys are doing it. Ohtani's been great. I mean, it hasn't been like what he was in the regular season, but he's still been, been doing it. Freddie Freeman's been awesome. Mookie's been awesome, but they're also getting it from other guys. And Tommy Edman's been huge. It just in the last series against the Mets, Kiki Hernandez, huge games. It's just other guys. Teoscar Hernandez has picked had big hits, and they've been able to do it. And with the Yankees, you're relying on so heavily on what Soto and Judge can do in that lineup, and those are the guys that have carried you all season long. Soto's been great.
Yeah.
He's been great. He needs Judge has got to show up. He's got to do something. If the Yankees are even going to win a game in this series, I seriously think if Judge keeps playing like he is, I think this is going to be over in 4.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I have a very good tweet about Mr. Judge and his postseason prowess here. This is from Jeff Passan over on Twitter. Aaron Judge struck out for the second time tonight. He is 1 for 8 with 5 strikeouts in the World Series. This postseason, he is 6 for 39 and he's hitting 154, slashing 286 and 333 with two home runs and 6 RBIs in 11 games. And you hit the nail right on the head there, 2Ks. Aaron Judge is, going from what everyone was saying in the regular season, this guy is supposed to be the best right-handed hitter we've ever seen. You and I have debated that many times over, but you're right, because both these teams, the way they are constructed right now, okay, the Dodgers did everything they could to bolster that pitching staff in the offseason. Didn't really work out. Seems like every pitcher they've had has been spent at least some time on the IL, and some are still there. And with the Yankees, they really didn't do a whole lot when it comes to the pitching side of things. They went out and got Soto, and that was basically their giant splash move, which is awesome, by the way. But these teams right now are built to out-hit the opponent. And we've seen it. Garrett Cole had a great start, game 1, but so did Flaherty.
Sure.
And once you saw those guys leave is when the offense kind of showed up. And then game 2, everyone was like, this is a must win for the Yankees. And when you're starting Carlos Rodon as your must win guy, I don't have a whole lot of faith in that. But it's been this way through the whole postseason, or this whole postseason. 2Ks. I mean, if you look at it from top to bottom, there hasn't been a dominant pitching staff in the postseason.
Mm.
I mean, even going back to the wild card teams, right. there's been injury after injury. Or now Cleveland had a great bullpen. Mm-hmm. Starters were sketchy, and I think one of the reasons that the Yankees are here is that bullpen got gassed. Yeah. They
100%.
They pitched the most innings,
big situations against the Tigers in that Tigers series, and that's the thing with Cleveland is, and Detroit, they were two very, very similar teams. Mm-hmm. That's what made that series so so fun to watch, is because the Tigers had one starting pitcher that they can really lean on, but other than that, they were going to their bullpen and expecting them to get go through 2 innings, maybe even 3 innings, and each. Same thing with Cleveland. They're expecting those guys to go through, and you pitch in those big situations over and over again. I think you're exactly right. When they got to the Yankee series, they were gassed. And in the closer, Class A, been the best closer in baseball all through the season. And he gives up, he blew 2 of them against, he blew 1 against the Tigers and then 2 of them against the Yankees.
He had more home runs hit against the Yankees than he gave up all season long.
I mean, that's the only really true, and that's the only home run that Judge has hit all playoff, the entire playoff series, right? Oh, is he have another one? So
he hit 1 against Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. But you're exactly right. Like, you can only do that for so long. Eventually it's going to catch up to you. Yep. And I think with Cleveland it did. And you can go through the regular season and piece that together and make it work. And the Tigers, they made it work for that last month of the year. But when you get into the playoffs, the moments are so much bigger. It takes so much more out of you. In the regular season, you see guys throwing, mid-90s and not really gassing it up. In the postseason, you're seeing guys all of a sudden hitting 98, 99. Mm-hmm. Some guys even getting up to triple digits. Like, they're throwing everything they have. That's very taxing on your body, not only physically, but also mentally too. Mm-hmm. So, no, I think you're exactly right on that one. It's just the 2 teams that are in it right now, the Yankees and the Dodgers, the way that they can hit home runs and have the power bats. Those are the teams that are built to last. You know what I mean?
And those offenses can withstand shaky either starting pitching or even relief pitching, which we saw in Game 1. Right. And the key here to me in this series, and I'm just gonna say this every time, is that I am more confident in the bottom of the Dodgers order than I am by far of the Yankees, regardless if Judge gets hot or not. I mean, we've seen Glaber in the 1 spot probably hit as consistently as he has in his whole career this postseason. Mm-hmm. And Soto has just been Soto. I mean, coming up with clutch hits after clutch hits. But Judge, you're right, he is non-existent. And then if regular season Stanton is in that lineup, you're right. This team probably doesn't even get by Kansas City, let alone the Guards. Mm-hmm. And to be here, and I not from experience obviously, but this is where you make your money. Mm-hmm. Postseason, prowess. We saw Jeter do it many times over. We've seen Big Papi do it many times over. This is when the legends are made. Mm-hmm. This is when you earn your paycheck. And if you're a Yankee fan, you have to be absolutely furious with Judge's production.
No, for sure.
And I'm not even saying that for this season alone, because Soto's not guaranteed to be there next year.
Right.
And if Soto's not on that team, this team doesn't make it. I'm not saying they don't make the playoffs, but he's a big reason why they're here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he's a huge reason why Judge puts up the numbers that he put up in the regular season, having that batting in front, and him just being on base all the time, whether it's him getting a hit or leading the league in walks. But there's an argument to be made too with that. Maybe the recipe to beating, because I don't think there's any argument. I think the Dodgers have been the best all-around baseball team all season long. Like, there's not a fucking hole in the lineup. But maybe the team that the recipe to beating them is a team like Cleveland or Kansas City or Detroit, a team that plays a little bit more of a manufacturing style and they might play a game and throw 6-7 different pitchers at them, and then you're taking guys like Shohei, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Hernandez, all those guys are not seeing the same pitcher more than, I mean, they're only seeing that pitcher one at bat.
Right.
And then by the next time that they get up, they're seeing a whole new pitcher. And you're playing, the matchup game, the lefty-righty matchups. And maybe that's the way to attack their offense. But, I mean, the way that things go right now, the way that this Yankees team is built, they have to put runs on the board. And that comes from Aaron Judge. Judge has to be that guy. And look, there's nobody that knows this more than Aaron Judge himself, and I think that's where he's kind of struggling too. And it can't be an easy. It's not an easy thing to be a Yankee and struggle in the biggest games.
Be the captain.
The captain. Exactly, and to struggle, and that's not easy. And that there's nobody that wants to figure this shit out. And but you don't have time to sit back and figure this shit out. You have to figure it out, game to game, to where in the season you can take it 1 week at a time and figure it out. So it's frustrating, but if there's going to be a guy that's going to figure it out and have a big hit, it's going to be him. Like, he's going to figure it, so we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But no, if he doesn't get something going, I think this goes a sweep.
Yeah, and it seems like the Yankees have thrown every haymaker they have at the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have just been taking it and taking it and taking it. And it's just waiting for that one last blow from the Dodgers to put this team down for good. And kind of a little sidelight, it is, all the reading I've done today, Ohtani is going to play tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw that.
And one of the things that, and now I'm not saying every Yankee fan is like this, but when you get a gigantic bar that's right across the street from Yankee Stadium, booing and flipping off Ohtani as they watch live, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of a sore loser can you be? I mean, and I'm putting myself in a Yankees fan body right now. If I'm the Yankees, I want to beat the Dodgers as healthy as they can.
100%.
I don't want there to be an asterisk. I don't want any of this bullshit surrounding it. I want to beat the best to be the best. Now, granted, if Tyler Glasnow was here, it's a different series. If you insert any name from all these pitchers on the IL from the Dodgers, this is a whole different series.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we got Walker Buehler going tomorrow, as well as
Clark Schmidt.
I'm going to say Mike Schmidt, and I knew that wasn't right. I mean, if the Yankees are trotting out Michael Jack Schmidt to toe the rubber right now, the Yankees have more problems than that. But it is. I mean, this is a key game. I mean, obviously, if you're a Yankee fan, every game is must win from now on. Does the mystique of Yankee Stadium change anything? In my eyes, it doesn't. It doesn't, because offense travels wherever you go, and like I said, no matter what the Yankees have done, the Dodgers have found a way to just.
Yeah.
To just come back and be like, nope, this is the way it's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, you go back to the Padres series for the Dodgers. Like, I thought that was the team that possibly could knock out the Dodgers, because they just, you had Tatis, who was maybe the hottest hitter in all of baseball at that time, and was just big hit after big hit. Machado was putting in big hits. Jackson Merrill seemed like, if Machado wasn't getting it done, Jackson Merrill coming up behind him, and he's getting it done. And they were just hot at the time, and I thought they could do it, and they did. They offensively, the Padres had it. Like, they were going. But it seemed like every single time that they had a big inning, put up 2 or 3 runs, the Dodgers would just match it. They would just match every single big blow. And, and the Padres could just never really get momentum on them, because the Dodgers had an answer for everything. And now you carry into, the next series, the Mets, they kind of did the same thing. Lindor would have a huge hit. Pete Alonso would have a huge home run. And Dodgers, they're just going to match it. There's no panic with them. They just, it doesn't, and it's not always the same guy. Like, you think it's not Ohtani. It's not always Ohtani.
No.
You go back to the Mets series, Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, Ohtani really wasn't doing much at all. Mookie Betts gets it done. Now you go into the World Series, and now it's Freddie Freeman. There's no panic with them, and it seems like they just figure out a way. And then when you look over on the Yankees side, to me, there's a lot of panic. Soto has been himself, but after that, I think there's a lot of panic with that team, because they're relying on Judge to be the guy, and he's not doing it. Now there's panic with everybody else in that lineup. So,
and the The fact that Soto has had World Series experience, I think, is
100%.
what's leading this.
Still doing his Soto shuffle and trying to get in pitchers' heads, and he's doing it. I mean, he's doing his job. He's doing everything. You can't ask much more out of him.
Anthony Rizzo is hitting better than Aaron Judge right now. Well, I have a couple tweets here about the Mr. Freeman Grand Slam. And the first one is from the Nugget chef himself, J. Kid, over from Baseball is Dead. Freddie Freeman joins Mickey Mantle, Game 3 of 164, as the only players in MLB history to hit a walk-off home run in the World Series on the first pitch of an at-bat. Sidelight, this is the Freddie Freeman Grand Slam is the first ever walk-off Grand Slam in World Series history. So kind of, even puts him even more into the
walked Mookie to load him up.
Yeah, I was on Twitter and I'm like, what world do we live in where you're walking Mookie Betts to get to Freddie Freeman? Especially when Freddie was swinging, because at that point, all Freeman had to do was get one in the air. Get one in the air.
Yep, and it was crazy, and Freddie just ambushed him the first pitch, and did not miss it. There was no doubt about it, and it was cool to see because Freddie's normally very even keeled, not much to it, and he bat flipped it, pimped it a little bit, and hey, kudos to him. I mean, and the thing about whether you hate the Dodgers, you love the Dodgers, if you're just a fan of baseball, like how do you not like Freddie Freeman?
Yeah,
he's got to be one of the best.
Unless you're a Braves fan and you're pissed that he left,
right?
Which I completely understand that, but
just, Braves fans weren't bitching about that when what's his name had the year
Matt Olson
had the year that he had last year. This year wasn't as good of a year, still a decent year, but
he was the only one healthy in that whole
right.
So. But no, and what's even cooler to me, just talking about Freddie Freeman as a person. Look at what he went through with his young child early on in the season, and then you see the celebration with him and his dad. I mean, how much more genuine can you be?
A complete roller coaster of a year for him, and for this, for that to have that moment, and now possibly 2 games from now could be celebrating another World Series for him. Like, you got to be happy for him. Like I have a really hard time rooting for either one of these teams.
Me too.
But I'll root for a guy like Freddie Freeman every day of the week.
And I've got one more Freeman tweet here. These were actually videos, 2K crew, so if you're watching live on YouTube or whatever, this is from John Foley at 2008 Phils. These home runs were both hit at 8:37 p.m. Pacific time, 36 years apart. The top one is Gibson, the bottom one is Freeman. And now granted, if you guys and gals were alive during the Gibson home run, if you rewatch that clip, you can see the line of cars leaving Dodger Stadium. Wasn't the case this time. Wasn't the case this time. The stands were packed, but just to kind of give you a little bit more how cool of an instance this was. But yeah, that I'm super excited, and my whole rationale is I don't want either team to win, but if I'm picking one, I'm picking Shohei to win.
Yeah,
that's kind of my rationale. With
the best player in the game to win a World Series after the fucking debacle that he's been with for his entire time, putting up the seasons that he's put up on that shitty of a team, to finally have his moment now. And that's the thing. Like I say, like I have a really hard time rooting for the Dodgers, and I do, and it's because of how much money they have into this thing, and just how good that they are, and it's hard to root for teams like that. But the thing about it was when I really sit down and think about it, like, I love Shohei, I love Mookie Betts, I love Freddie Freeman. Like, those are 3 guys in baseball that I love watching. I have the utmost respect for them. They're 3 of the best players in the game, have been for a very long time. It's not like this is just a 1-year thing. Like, they've done it for a long time. So it's hard not to root for those guys.
And all of them are under contract for a long time more.
Like, I love Soto, and I've always been I'm a fan of Judge, but there's just more guys on that Dodgers team that I can get behind. So, I guess if I had to pick one, I'm probably going to go with the Dodgers, but it's one of them World Series where, like, I'm just watching it just because I'm a fan of baseball.
Yeah, and you've gotten some great baseball.
Yeah,
and I expect even more. Well, 2Ks, let's jump over to let's do some college football. Huh? What do you think, kid?
Yep.
Had a wide array of games. I mean, we're talking everywhere from 50-point games to another Brian Kelly meltdown to about everything in between. And I had to throw that Brian Kelly meltdown in there. Why not? Why not? But in your Wolverines picked up a big win, which was cool to see. That's a game, regardless of however your season is going. As a Michigan fan, you have to win that game.
Oh, 100%.
Have to win that game. And Mrs. Turbo was like, this coach for Michigan State looks like he would be on a mob movie where he's the snitch. And I'm like, yep, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, obviously this season for Michigan has not went the way that I would have liked it to go. Not that my expectations were super high. It wasn't like I was feeling like,
national championship
season, nothing like that. Or I was kind of I wasn't saying that they were going to be as bad as they were, but I was kind of like, all right, maybe can win some big games and have an opportunity to get into a 12 team, but it was going to be an uphill battle, especially with the schedule that they were playing. Now the seasons went way worse than what I thought. But last night it was like this is one of those games where as long as you can beat Michigan State, I'm going to be okay with it. Like, I don't have any expectations of beating Ohio State this year. Nothing else. This is basically just save whatever's left of the season. Is you just can't lose to these fuckers. And in all honesty, I thought Michigan played their best game of the season. Davis Warren, look, he's not very good, but he took care of the ball. Something that he has been doing in the few starts that he's had this year. He's turned the ball over a lot. He doesn't turn the ball over, so that's great. I've been saying, even when they switched over to Tuttle as quarterback, there still has to be some type of a package where you have Orji on the field. He's too much of a playmaker. You're very
you did it last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're very challenged offensively. You have a really hard time picking up first downs, putting points on the board. You want to run the football. Teams are stacking the box against you. You have to have a quarterback that can run the ball. And if you don't, you have to at least have a package to get Orji on the field so you can run the football. Because if they're gonna stack the box against you, then you got to stack the box right back against them. And when you have a quarterback that can run, you're just adding another blocker into that. So they finally did it. And I thought that was the best game plan. I thought it was the best coaching that Michigan had. They were able to get out of that game with a win. And it is what it is. But they won the game. Michigan State, fuck you all. Like, still at this. They were very, very quiet, because I think that I do think that at the beginning of the week, Michigan State got really, really confident, like they were going to win that game. And even when the game started, I think that they thought, and kudos to them. But I'm glad Michigan took care of business, and I don't have to listen to. I can go another 365 without having to listen to them fuckers.
Well, let's stay in the Big Ten here, 2Ks. Oregon gets a big win over Illinois. Probably not a shocker to anybody. 38-9. Penn State kind of has all they can handle at Wisconsin, but they get a win 28-13. Ohio State almost stumbles against Nebraska. This one kind of came down to the wire. Come away with a victory 21-17. Did you watch any of this game, 2K?
I did. I watched quite a bit of it. Ohio State's. I don't think there's any need for panic. Like, they lost to a very, very good Oregon team. Nebraska's coming off kind of an a complete embarrassment where they just got blown out by Indiana.
Yes.
I think you knew that you were gonna get a better version of Nebraska in this game, and this is as a Nebraska team that, hey, let's not forget, before they lose to Illinois and before the Indiana debacle, they were talked about as possibly being a playoff team. They have the Riola kid as a quarterback. They were going into the season, they were a very highly touted team. So they're not. It's not like they're a slouch, of a team. And
very well coached.
They went into Columbus. Yeah, very well coached. They went into Columbus. They gave them their best shot. Ohio State did not play very good. You're going to have these games. I don't give a shit how good of a team you are. You're going to have these games where things just don't go right for you and a little bit ugly. And good teams find ways to win. And that's, to me, what Ohio State did. They're a good team. They have a really good defense. They relied on that defense a lot. And they found a way to get out of that game with a win. And that happens, So I don't see that there's... to me, there shouldn't be a whole lot of panic in this,
But there is one Ohio State fan that is panicking. This is a guy I follow on Twitter. He is a co-host of the Brilliantly Dumb show. And his name is Mikey Bear Down Cuz. and he is a Ohio State fan, a Bears fan, a Yankee fan, kind of all over. Lives in New Jersey. Hilarious guy, big son of a bitch, like 6'7" big. He says, tired of hearing how quote unquote privileged and quote unquote lucky Ohio State is to have Ryan Day. Their roster is top 5 in talent every single year. 2 weeks to prepare for this Nebraska team that lost to Bloomington by like 50 last week, half of which to a backup quarterback, and we have to sweat it out in the shoe. I would give a pass to this guy ever. I would give a pass if this guy ever won anything meaningful outside of a COVID semifinal, but this is unacceptable. Sorry, not sorry. And it seems like you and Bear Down are about on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've come to this conclusion a little bit sooner than he has, but this.
It's what I've always said about Ryan Day, and like being a Michigan fan, like keep this guy as long as you want to keep him. He reminds me a lot of Franklin, and with Penn State, like great recruiters. Ryan Day, even a better recruiter. Ryan Day is the closest thing as a recruiter to Urban Meyer. The difference is Urban Meyer was not only a great recruiter, he was a fucking great coach, great college coach. He like, I hate Urban Meyer, but he's a top 3 college football coach of all time, in my opinion. Like the dude recruited and the dude knew how to coach, and he won every single big game it seemed like that he was in. They won. His teams came out on top, whether it was when he was with Ohio State or whether it was when he was with Florida
or even Utah.
Yeah. Ryan Day, on the other hand, great recruiter. I mean, they got more money invested into this team, and I think that's what brings all this pressure on. Is they got all this money, and they've transfer kids that have come in, recruiting classes that have come in over and over again. But he just finds ways in big games, and I love it because we're panicking after they won.
Yeah,
like you send out the tweet after they won. Like Oregon lost to me. Like Oregon's fucking good. Oregon's very well coached. Maybe has the best coach in all of college football on their side, and a ton of talent on that team. So Oregon loss is like, whatever. Ohio State, Oregon, probably a good chance they're going to play against each other again before all this is over. So I don't really put a whole lot on that loss, but I guess if I'm going to put a little bit on it, like those are the games right there though. And the Michigan games the last 3 years is like games where Ohio State is the better team on paper, with exception of maybe last year's Michigan game. I would say probably last year, I would say absolutely Michigan was the better team on paper than Ohio State last year. But the 2 years before that, absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not. And it's these games, over and over again where Ryan Day just can't win the big game, cannot win it, and does not show up for it. So that's where I'm like, yeah, keep this guy as long as you want. You guys can keep on recruiting all these great classes and have all this great talent all you want. But if you can't win the big ones, I love it. I fucking love seeing tweets like this and seeing Ohio State fans, just on complete panic mode after you win. It cracks me up.
Well, number 5, Texas goes into Vanderbilt, where we've already seen this Vandy team knock off Alabama already.
This Vanderbilt team is fucking hot.
Feisty.
They don't back down to anybody, and to me, Texas going on the road and coming out as a win after they basically laid a dud against Georgia last week. I give credit to Texas. Like you escaped one. Yep. You escaped one where with a team that's not already knocked off an Alabama team. Like you got out of there. Was it pretty? Fuck no. But a win's a win.
Yep. Yeah. Excuse me. Like I was telling you, our most popular TikTok video, almost 30,000 views. We took it on the shins. And you would, out of everything, you would have swore that all 1,000 people that commented on this video have never lost a bet. So maybe you and I are the only ones that put in losers from time to time. And
I don't know about you or maybe other people. I'm not giving up on this Texas team.
No, me either.
No, there's a lot of talent on this team. They're going to figure shit out. Obviously, the quarterback situation. Quinn Ewers was playing before the injury. He was playing like the best quarterback in college football. The injury goes down. He misses multiple weeks. Comes back a little bit rusty. And it hasn't looked very pretty to this point. And I think that, you have arguably another top 5 quarterback in college football behind him that's not playing. So I think that's what brings in all the spotlight of hey.
Sure.
And I think there's always going to be I think Quinn Ewers, it's kind of a curse for him because you can't help but be looking over your shoulder. You know,
Right.
if you make a bad throw, you make a bad read, something on your side, you're always looking like shit. And I don't. Who knows how Sark is handling this? He could be saying, you know, and I'm sure that he is like, hey, this is your job.
Yeah.
It's your job. You can't play like that because you have to play loose as a quarterback. But like I think they're going to get back on track. And you know, the Georgia loss was obviously, you know, it was bad. They looked like shit. But hey, Georgia was the team that we were talking about winning it all before the season even started. People, they just had a bad game against Alabama, a team that's kind of had their, you know,
they had a bad half against Alabama.
Yeah.
A bad first half.
Georgia's also, you know, played a couple games, including the Alabama game, where they were not healthy. Georgia got healthy and had a lot of guys back in that Texas game. So, you know, they're a fucking powerhouse. They have been. If there was any team last year that was going to knock out Michigan, it was probably going to be Georgia, and Alabama beating them.
There was a ton of folks in the comments saying there's no way in hell Michigan would have beat Georgia last year. I'm like, hey, did you watch this Michigan team last year?
I tell you, it would have been a fucking game.
Awesome.
It would have been a game. It would have been a really, really good game. And I'm as diehard Michigan fan as there is. I don't know if I could have been up there and said, oh, 100% we're going to beat this team, because that Georgia team they're a fucking problem. And the, you know, Michigan was so physical. They're going to run the ball on you and set up the play action and all that. Well, you weren't going to play bully ball against Georgia. No. And so that's where I don't know if Michigan could just get out like a team like Alabama. Alabama arguably had the best athletes in college football last year. So they were kind of able to, you know, athlete right along with Georgia on that. I don't know if Michigan would have had the athletes to just out-athlete them, and I don't know if they would have been able to just bully Georgia. Georgia just doesn't get bullied.
We also got accused of being from Texas, and we have some of the non-Southern Texas accents.
Right? Yeah, no, and I fucking hate Texas. So
it's too damn hot there.
I try to just use my brain, what I see when I watch, and what I, you know, and then I just kind of put words into that, you know. Yeah. So like Texas, up until the Georgia game, they had looked better than anybody that I had watched. Mm-hmm. Now they didn't play good against Georgia. They lost that game. I'm not writing them off yet. Like, to me, this isn't like, there's Oregon can go on and win the national championship. Georgia can go on and win the national championship. Texas can go on and win the national championship. There are multiple teams in this. Ohio State can go on and win. Like, there are multiple teams in this right now that can go on and get hot and win this thing. So I'm not ready to just,
right.
You know, we got to take this week by week, and
especially with the 12-team playoff.
But you know, you get the fucking keyboard warriors that want to try to be, you know, the experts after everything is done.
Oh yeah, saw a lot of that too. Miami takes care of Florida State. This Florida State team is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, terrible. And I think Miami's a fucking fraud too.
It seems like Cam Ward has regressed as the season as well. Mm-hmm. Whether that's because of injury or there's tape on him or whatever. You might be right on that.
I think they're soft. I just think they're soft, and they play a weak ass schedule. They're gonna be in the playoff because they don't play anybody, so they don't really have anything to worry about on that.
Bring the turnover chain back.
Right? Yeah. But to me, like that's why I say that they're soft. Like, I don't think their defense is worth a shit. And you know, you line up Miami against any of those teams that we've talked about, like those 4 or 5 teams that we've talked about being, you know, national championship contenders. I think they blow the fucking doors off Miami.
I do too. And
I think Clemson blows the fucking doors off of Miami.
I talked a little bit last week about how sneaky Clemson is, and with their quarterback kind of being a dark horse for the Heisman. Mm-hmm. And and Dabo can still coach. Mm-hmm. I mean, he might be old in his ways where he doesn't do the NIL, he doesn't do the transfer portal, which is fine. But yeah, he's got those boys playing some good ball. Texas A&M upset of the week against number 8 LSU, 38-23.
These are fucking frauds too.
Yeah,
LSU's. I think they're the biggest frauds. You know, they lost to a USC team in week 1. I get it; it was week 1 early in the season, but USC has proven to be not worth a shit. No, you know, that's the same USC team from last year. Mm-hmm. Everybody just thought when they beat LSU week 1 that they were this great team, and then they're not. USC is not a good football team, and LSU. I just don't understand how they were, you know, a top top 10 team, and this is considered like this big upset. Going on the road to Texas A&M, which is a very tough place to play.
Yeah,
And
13th man.
yeah, Texas A&M just fucking kicked him in the teeth.
And you know what? As a Notre Dame fan, I
You
love
want
this.
it? Absolutely.
I mean, on multiple levels, because A, we got another Brian Kelly explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Love those now that he's not with us. And B, that week 1 win in Texas Station.
Texas A&M winning to win out.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of jump to the Notre Dame game, they handled Navy, an undefeated Navy 2Ks.
Very good Navy. This isn't the typical Navy.
No, they pass.
Run option, everything. They throw the ball.
Yeah.
This was a scary team, and I think for really anybody that is a true Notre Dame fan, I think you kind of had to have this one marked on your calendar as especially.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
This is a game where we got to show up for, and Notre Dame fucking showed up. And
Well,
I don't even know if Navy made a stop on them defensively.
if you don't win, or if you don't win and force 6 turnovers, there's a problem.
Right. Yeah.
There's a problem. But this was, I mean, this is the best Riley Leonard's looked all year.
Mm-hmm.
I think both, the plantar fascia or the turf toe in one toe and the broken ankle is finally getting to where he can set and plant. And he's getting back to his footwork. We've seen a lot of the Notre Dame receivers show up where they kind of weren't. And with Notre Dame's running game, especially,
Mm-hmm.
and that defense, I think that we're progressing right along as we should. But yeah, I actually stopped watching at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you,
Yeah.
this game.
Notre Dame, and the thing is with Notre Dame is the ball's in their court. They're going to make the playoff if they win out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they have to do is win out. So they just can't afford any duds. And there's teams, not that they have a tough schedule or great teams, but there's teams on there that are sneaky good,
Mm-hmm.
and that they have to, be on their, they got to play their best football, and to handle business right here against a very good Navy team. Hey, you got to give kudos to them.
Yeah, in New Jersey. So it's not like this game was home. It was in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago, neither one of us picked College Game Day to be in Bloomington, but I honestly think it was really cool the way they did it with Coach Corso, and and Indiana came out and backed it up again. Backup quarterback,
Right?
Backup quarterback. And they're expecting their starter to be ready next week.
Yep.
He had something with his thumb.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a big win for Indiana, staying 8-0. And I caught some heat on Twitter because someone posted the picture of Coach Corso in the 70s with the same sweater on that he was wearing yesterday. And there were so many people being like, he should hang it up. He needs to get the hell out of here. He's too old. He's too that. And I made the simple comment, Coach has earned the right to step down whenever he's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Now, holy shit. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
ESPN is a business. There's no room for heartfelt shit like that. I'm like, no. And I have a very good feeling every staff member, everyone on that stage with him would say, no, Coach has been here for over 30 years. When he wants to be done, he can be done. Yeah. No one's going to tell him.
ESPN's got a lot of guys on that staff, too, that they could get rid of and worry more about than fucking Corso. He'd be the least of the worries compared to some of the others. But, no, getting back to Indiana, though, like, I think maybe arguably the best story of college football right now.
100%.
Undefeated. They beat a kind of a pesky Washington team yesterday with the backup quarterback. They're expecting him back now. They play Michigan State and Michigan, who you have to think they can, they win both of those games.
They played Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State.
Ohio State. That Ohio State game could be, a top 10 matchup, undefeated, and a lot on the line. Indiana wins that game, and they may, Indiana beats a Ohio State and go undefeated, regardless of what happens, after that in the Big Ten championship game. I think you go undefeated in the Big Ten, you punch your fucking ticket.
Yep. And Indiana is one of 3 remaining undefeated teams in Big Ten play, along with Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. Or no, excuse me, Ohio State has 1 loss. And College Game Day it's at Penn State, correct? The Ohio State Penn State game?
Yes.
Which I believe one of us chose that game. Let me double check here. Let's see here. College Game Day picks. Hang in there. Yep, I had I had Ohio State at Penn State. You had Oregon at Michigan.
Okay.
So
No, that Penn State Ohio State game next week is gonna be awesome. I wish that it was and they would switch it to a night game and play a whiteout on that one because that would be insane. I think just the fact that they're playing at noon
kind of diminishes.
I like the noon games better than the 3:30 games.
Yeah, but
because I feel like the 3:30 a lot of times is like the break before the prime time, But a whiteout Penn State Ohio State would be fucking sweet.
Yes.
That game. Yeah, that would be sweet.
Yes.
'Cause there's a lot on the line, Penn State can Penn State end Ohio State's season?
Yeah.
They win that game. Is Ohio State, can they climb back in? I don't know. I think that, they probably can climb back into it, but they would have to play flawless football. If they lose to Penn State, they would have to play flawless football the way out to make it in because they don't have the great strength of schedule that some of the other teams have, that where, you start putting in your bid for getting into that playoff. If you have 2 losses and the schedule that they played, I think that they probably get in because it's Ohio State, because of how much they have invested into this team, and it would be too much of a big deal for them not to be in. But hey, Penn State wins this game. There's a lot of pressure on Ohio State all of a sudden.
And I do believe are you going to be here next week?
I should be. Yeah.
Let's do our updated playoff predictions. So we're far enough along, but there's still a lot of meat on the bone left, and we'll kind of compare them to what we did initially. So I think that'll be fun. Well, 2Ks, let's switch over to some NFL action. That's not the right graphic. Where is it at? There it is. That was the old graphics there, 2K crew. And I want to start out this with the Lions. Okay. This Lions team is so much fun to watch.
Dude, it's almost, their offense is so fucking good. Ben Johnson, I said it today, I'm like, Detroit needs to make Ben Johnson higher paid than Dan Campbell. Yeah. And it's no disrespect to Dan Campbell, but it's like,
Dan Campbell would probably,
I think he would be
on board,
completely A-okay with it.
He should.
Like, you have to do everything you can to keep him, and Ben Johnson's probably going to leave. I mean, we've been very, very fortunate to hold on to him and for him to stick this out and keep riding this out. And maybe that's what Ben Johnson wants to do. I don't know. I don't know what he wants to do. But I know that he's had plenty of opportunities to leave and hasn't taken up any of those offers, and he keeps coming back. And I just feel like Detroit's running out of time with him. But like they are so good offensively that it's almost like they just start playing games with these defenses, and in the second halves of the games, like that you go back to the Dallas game, they were trying to get fucking offensive linemen touchdowns.
Yes.
Today it was like, we're gonna try to get everybody an opportunity to score a touchdown on this offense. They were running plays to get Laporta in the end zone. They were running plays to get Raymond in the end zone. They were running plays to get, I mean, it's just like, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. And it's like they're just playing games, and it's
and this was against a Titans defense that was very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best defenses in the NFL going into this week. And look, I know the Texans are very, very challenged offensively. They turned the ball over multiple times, gave the ball to Detroit with short fields.
It's Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, it was a shit game. But these are the games where, a lot of times we always talk about with the NFL and how the parity in the game, and how, especially when you see games like with a double-digit spread, like those ones, you tend to kind of get scared, like, oh, okay, that team's going to lay a dud. But those are also the games where good teams, Super Bowl caliber football teams, they find ways to just cover it, blow. They don't play into that shit. They don't play to the level of the bad team. They just handle their business, take care of it, and get the shit done. And they just continue to do it week in, week out. I'm looking forward to that Packers-Lions game next week, because the Packers are a very, very, very good team. Yeah. I think it's going to be a very good game. It's not going to be a game where I don't think the Lions just play games with them.
No.
But I think you're going to get a true feel for two teams that I consider absolute Super Bowl contending teams.
And we've seen Green Bay in 2 weeks in a row now rely on a walk-off field goal,
and they finally got their kicker.
Yeah. And I was saying last week that when the Lions win, the Packers almost have to win, because of that division. I mean, Lions, Packers, Vikings, the Bears stepped on their dick today. Let's call a spade a spade. But with the teams in that division, you have to win when those other teams are winning
100%.
because you're going to keep falling farther and farther and farther. And I also was granted we did I did the show last Sunday, and of course Monday all the talking heads were kind of stealing my content.
Mhm.
In case I was saying that Jared Goff is an MVP candidate, hands down.
100%.
And I'm still backing that, even though he threw for 85 yards today, but had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's just, for one, you have Ben Johnson, who is, I think, the best offensive mind in football right now. You have, and so your job as Jared Goff is spread the wealth, get everybody involved, and don't turn the ball over.
Mhm.
And he doesn't he doesn't even throw incomplete passes.
No.
Like everything he throws is a completion. Like it's just, it's the closest thing I've seen to somebody just playing video game football on rookie mode.
Yeah.
And just somebody's open every single play, and he just continues to find that open guy.
Yep.
and throw it to him every single time. And majority of the time, it leads to a fucking touchdown. Like this team scores. It's not like they're just like working the ball down the field, scoring a 5-yard touchdown. They're fucking scoring 30, 40-yard touchdowns.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're just throwing the ball. Then you turn it over to the 2 running backs, and I don't think there's a 1-2 punch in the NFL like this one. You have Montgomery, who is just going to wear defenses out. He's going to
score a touchdown,
run you over, and score touchdowns every single game. And then you have Gibbs, where you might have one opportunity to tackle him on a play.
He's gone.
And if you miss him, he's gone. He's got that speed where he is gone. And so that is like the thunder lightning, backfield in the NFL. There's not a duo in the NFL better than that. So
and ironically enough, they extend David Montgomery. Well, a lot of folks would say prematurely, but
no, fuck that.
Yeah,
guys,
this is awesome.
If he's going to be durable and he's going to score touchdowns the way that he has the last 2 years, fuck that. We'll pay him right now and get that taken care of. I think it was a great job by Detroit. Get it taken care of, and you stay away from what we've seen from other teams, where you get the drama that carries over through the offseason. They handled the St. Brown contract before the season even started. Got that out of the way. No, they just keep doing the right thing. You sit here and you talk about how good Ben Johnson is and how good, how good Jared Goff has been playing and how good the running game is. But no, it's Brad Holmes. It's Brad Holmes just continues to click the right buttons, make the right decisions, whether it's signing free agents, whether it's keeping his guys around in the draft. He just keeps continuing to do it. He has surrounded himself with a great coaching staff. He's surrounded himself now with great players, and this team's not going away anytime soon.
No, and they've built a culture. And I'm not ready to compare the Lions culture to the Chiefs culture quite yet.
No.
But it's trending towards that.
No, but you now know that you can play at that level, and now you have to go win. You have to go win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Because now if you go win one, I still am not going to consider you, the Chiefs or with Mahomes or anything like that. Like, you got a lot of work to get to that. But you go and you win one, now all of a sudden you have respect from everybody.
Sure. I do have a tweet about the Lions game here. I believe that. Yep, this is from RG3. The Lions aren't just trying to win football games; they are trying to embarrass you. Plus 73-point differential in the last 3 weeks, 40 points plus in 40 points plus in the last 3 out of the 4 games. My God, my God, and as well as the offense is playing 2Ks, the defense is right there too.
Yeah, you have the most deflating injury that they could have come up with is to lose Aiden Hutchinson. The way that they lost him in a complete blowout of a game, he goes down with a freak injury. You hate to see anybody get hurt that style. It's just a nasty injury to see those players around the field seeing that. It's just deflating, and they haven't made a move yet. I still expect that they're going to make a trade before the deadline to try to boost up that defensive line, that pass rush. But in the 2 games since then, they've been completely fine. I mean, the Titans are not good, but throw this Titans win out, whatever you want to do with it. They beat the Vikings last week in Minnesota. It's not an easy place to go play. Most teams that go into Minnesota, they lose. Yeah. And that Vikings team had 1 loss going into that game, they hadn't even been beat, and they're undefeated going into that game. They kind of got kicked in the teeth. Dan Campbell, I thought, kind of had a boneheaded decision in that game with the fake punt.
Yeah,
he basically handed a touchdown to the Vikings off of that. So they're down 10-0 right off the bat. Offense can't really get it figured out, and then all of a sudden, second quarter starts, offense figures it out. They score 21 points in the second quarter, and they shut the Vikings out in the second quarter. So it's like the defense has found ways to it's almost like they bend, but they just don't break. They give up yards, but they don't break. They don't give up touchdowns, and they turn you over.
Yeah.
That's been to me the best thing with the Lions defense so far is they're turning teams over
at a very, very, very good clip. Eagles go into Cincinnati, get a big win against Joe Burrow and the boys. 37-17. 2Ks, are the Bengals dead?
Yes.
Okay.
The Bengals have been dead. I mean, I keep trying to like talk myself out of them not being dead. I think I tried it 2 weeks ago. Like they still got a chance, and they were playing the Sunday night game at the time. No, the Bengals are dead. They're dead.
I think this has everything to do with what happened in the offseason. They just carried into the regular season, and they never recovered.
Yep. And they allowed it to happen multiple times because the year before that it was Higgins. Nothing gets done. Higgins is still there, but I think at the end of all of this, they might be without both of them.
Yeah. Yep.
So, no, it's almost like, and you hate to say it with the talent that they have in receiver and they have a franchise quarterback. Teams would die to have Joe Burrow as their quarterback, but it's almost like they're at a spot now where you got to start over.
Yep.
You got to start over. And you would love to keep those guys. You would love to keep, Jamar Chase, one of the best receivers in the NFL. But your defense can't stop anybody.
Nope. Ravens go into Cleveland. Cleveland smacks them in the mouth. 2Ks. This was probably, but it's either between. No, it is this. This is the biggest shock of the weekend. Your boy Jameis Winston went off.
I'm telling you, this one does not shock me that much. Like did I pick the Ravens to win this game? Yes.
Yeah.
But it does not shock me because, look, this Browns team they've been a playoff caliber team for years now. They're good. They have a good defense. They have big time names on that defense. They have Nick Chubb back healthy. Getting healthy, getting back, working back into the game. He's been obviously off with the knee injury, but it just goes to show you, like, if you have a quarterback in this league it doesn't even have to be a great quarterback. It just has to be a quarterback that's serviceable and that can make throws. And Jameis Winston can do that. Now, does he make boneheaded fucking throws and turn the ball over at times? Yes.
Not this game.
But he didn't. He took care of the ball. But he throws a good ball. It's not the fucking shit that they have went through with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
To where I think that with Deshaun Watson playing quarterback, I think that entire team just was like, we don't have a chance.
Well,
and
he himself was just giving up.
Right. And when you throw Jameis Winston in there, look, the guy's a freaking, he's a weirdo. He's a weird duck. I'll be the first one to say that. But when he's your quarterback, he doesn't have a problem with other guys on that team not being ready to play.
No.
Like everybody that's on that team knows that he's going to give it everything he's got to win that game. He reminds me a lot of Baker Mayfield. He's going to give everything he's got to go out there and win that game. And look, he's the starting quarterback, and the team showed up, and they beat a Super Bowl, one of the Super Bowl favorites, I think, in the Baltimore Ravens, the way that they've been playing. Lamar Jackson, MVP, caliber football that he's been playing, and they go and on their home field they beat them. So no, you got to give kudos to Cleveland. I think it's a huge win for them.
Yeah,
they're not going to do anything this year, but
no,
I think this is a win that you look back on in the year and be like, hey, we're not a bad football team. This just goes to show you Deshaun Watson's got to be. You gotta bite the bullet. You have to admit that's probably the worst contract ever in any sport ever.
Yeah,
that's worse than Javi Baez with the Tigers.
Yeah.
You just have to be done with it.
Yeah.
You cannot go on with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback.
Deshaun Watson can never step on the field as a Cleveland Brown anymore.
I don't think Deshaun Watson steps on the football field as a starting quarterback for anybody.
I don't think so either. I did want to get to this 2Ks. It is National Tight Ends Day, and we had multiple tight ends show out. Multiple, even going back to Thursday. We had Adam Troutman from Denver, Mark Andrews, David Njoku, which we already talked about, Sam Laporta, which we talked about, Brock Wright, Tyler Conklin from the Jets, Cade Otto got there twice, Kyle Pitts got there twice, Tucker Kraft, Evan Ingram, Dalton Kincaid, Travis Kelce, and Josh Oliver for the Vikings, which leads me to believe that king of tight end day, Mr. George Kittle, will find his way into the end zone tonight. And if not, I will be deeply, deeply saddened because I put together a parlay with that in mind. But it seems like every tight end, National Tight Ends Day, Kelsey goes off, Kittle goes off. I mean, there's just guys that it seems like they get up for this. And usually it works out that the Chiefs are playing the Niners on National Tight End Day. So it's kind of a bummer that didn't happen. But yeah, we saw tight ends flying around the field today too.
Your boy hit on his parlay today. I picked 4 tight ends to score a touchdown, and all 4 hit.
Yeah,
so
hell yeah.
I can thank Evan Ingram. I can thank Mark Andrews. I can thank Evan Ingram, Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, and David Njoku.
Hell yeah.
4 that I picked today, all 4 of them scored.
And how David Njoku is not more involved in that offense? The dude is he's a beast.
Yes,
he's a
man of
physical
boys
specimen
out there. You know, they have as far as the 2 scariest players to see. They both play.
He's an avatar.
They both play for the Browns, though.
Him and Myles Garrett.
If you go look at Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball, it's just like, yeah, I'm not fucking running that towards that guy. No. Not a chance. No. Those are the 2 probably scariest looking guys in the league. And yeah, no. Now with Jameis throwing the ball, Njoku's going to be. I think he's a tight end that I'm going to bet on very, very frequently.
I totally agree. We had the much talked about and highly controversial in some circles return of Tua. You know, there's a lot of folks that say you should hang it up. There's a lot of folks that are saying really bad things are going to happen. Well, he comes back and Arizona Cardinals kind of ruined that it's not really a homecoming, but Kyler has a huge game.
Mm-hmm.
Huge game out of Kyler. It seems to be with this Cardinals team. I don't know shit about most things, but it seems like this season, when you get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., good things happen. Mm-hmm. He has 6 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown. I believe the last time he had a touchdown is when he had like 2 or 3 in the first half of a game, and we really haven't heard from him since. So it's good that they're getting him worked in, and this offense is a very different offense when he is just balling out like this.
No, this was actually a pretty fun game to watch, and when you have Tyreek Hill and you have Jalen Waddle on a team, and it's just been so disappointing because they haven't had a quarterback that is serviceable enough to make throws. And so now you finally get Tua back, and I've been very, very hard on Tua, and I'm still going to continue to be hard on Tua because I just don't think he's that great of a quarterback. But at least he's serviceable. He knows the offense. It's not just a dud of an offense that it has been. So the Dolphins are actually a team that you can tune in and watch, and it's not just going to be a shit show. Now, this Cardinals team, they're just a roller coaster. You just don't know what version of them you're going to get. They're so up and down. They'll look so good one week. And the thing is, like you said, Marvin Harris, stud. Trey McBride, stud. Like, they have studs on that team. James Conner has done this for how many years in a row now? Like, until people are going to start to, give him the credit that he deserves. Like, the dude just continues to put up big season after big season, and nobody ever talks about him as really being anything. So kudos to the Cardinals for winning this game today. I don't think nobody was really even giving the Cardinals a chance. Everybody thought Tua was coming back. Dolphins are just going to be back to their normal ways. And no, Cardinals found a way to win that game on the road. So give kudos to them. But it's with the Cardinals to make that next step. They have to get more consistent. They have to be a team that shows up every week. Instead, it's like sometimes you watch an entire half of football and it's like Kyler Murray forgot how to play quarterback. Yep. And then you watch him again, and he's throwing the ball on time. He's using his feet. He's doing what makes him so good he's just so athletic. He can extend plays. He can run for 30, 40 on you in one play. He's the most similar thing we have to Lamar Jackson. Yeah, he just doesn't know how to be consistent like Lamar Jackson.
And Aaron Rodgers and the Jets go to the Patriots, and this was the game. It's like, all right. If you're a Jets fan, shout out Cody. This is your get right game. You went out and got Devontae. You've done everything that Aaron's wanted. And the backup quarterback for the Patriots beat you because Drake May goes out, I believe it's the first quarter, with a concussion, and this team's done. This team's done.
I think the Jets are done too. I think you can put them right next to the Bengals as done. I think the Bengals might even have a better chance of getting out of that tank that they're in than this Jets team. This Jets team is just I think they fucked up by firing Saleh too. I'm just gonna say that because defense, this is what was supposed to be so good. Like you had Aaron Rodgers, and look, Aaron Rodgers is not the same Aaron Rodgers. And I think anybody that knew anything about football knew that you weren't gonna get the same Aaron Rodgers that was strapping it up for the Packers for years. Like a lot of miles on this dude. But he knows how to play the position. He's gonna be, he's gonna be a big time step up from what you've had in years past at quarterback. But this defense was supposed to be the end all be all for this Jets team. Like this defense, you had
Sauce Gardner,
best corners in the game. You had one of the best D lines in the game. And ever since they fired Saleh, where's this fucking defense been? Because they haven't been. This has been bad. And then defense coordinator's trying to be the head coach in this whole thing, and he's not good at that job. And to me, this whole thing is just they panicked. I don't know why. I don't know why they fired him in that situation.
Because it's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah,
and the easiest thing to do.
And I just don't. I just don't understand anything with it. And then you bring Devontae over, and I think they'll eventually get it going. It's gonna be. They're gonna play better football here down the stretch. If you look ahead of their schedule, they do play some games here in the next few weeks that. I have to imagine that they're going to win, but like next week they have the Texans. I don't think they're going to beat the Texans.
Like I said, this Patriots team was terrible.
Yeah,
terrible into this.
Awful.
Now Drake May
Jaguars had their fucking way with them last week.
Drake May has played well in these losses, so it's not on the quarterback. This is a whole team thing, and like I said, this was Aaron Rodgers' get right game, and he didn't get anything. And to get to your defensive part, Sauce Gardner hasn't been noticed at all this year at all, along with a bunch of guys on this defense. And it's like this was supposed to be the cornerstone. This was the best defense that Aaron Rodgers has ever played with. There's a lot of things leading up to this that, for whatever reason, and I'm not putting this on Aaron.
No, I'm not putting. I mean, he's not been good.
No,
I'm not. I think it's. For me, it's defense one has been the biggest disappointment.
Defense one, offensive line two.
Offensive line's been bad. Aaron Rodgers has been bad though too. I can't really say. There's been like 2 games of watching Rodgers. I think if you go back to the Falcons game, I thought he looked really really good in that game. They won that night. He was playing quarterback the way that you're used to watching him play. Like
was that the game where they had him booting out all the time and
running the ball. Picking up first downs with his feet.
Yep.
And everything just looked smooth, and it was like, and I think that time it was like week 2 or 3, and like, okay, this Jets team's they're going to be a playoff team. Yeah. And since then, fuck,
nothing.
It's just been a shit show. And then Devontae comes in, and you think that it's gonna be just like
old times,
and it has been far from it.
And I mean, yes, Devontae Adams is a great wide receiver. Yes, he played with Aaron many years, but it's been 2 or 3 years since they've been together. Now, different, probably a very similar playbook because the same offensive coordinator, but it's going to take more than just Tuesday till Sunday to get him into the offense and get him rolling. We did see more targets, more catches today than we did last week, and Garrett Wilson had a very, very good game. So for all those saying that, Garrett Wilson's going to be pissed because Devontae's taking his targets. No. You can't double team both of them. You can't.
Good NFL teams have 2 number ones. That's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. To have 2 number ones. So I don't think that. I think Garrett Wilson probably wanted this trade just as much as Rodgers wanted this trade. To have. All right, I'm going to have one of the best come in. He does a lot of the similar things to what I do as far as his route running, and that Devontae is about the best route runner that I've ever watched as far
either
as
him or D-Hop.
With what he can do. And so now Garrett Wilson gets to learn from that, and on top of that, Garrett Wilson's going to be fucking open all the time because of what just the coverages that Devontae's going to pull. So no, I think, offensively, we're going to see a better version of them before this is all said and done. They're going to win football games, and I think they're going to get closer to that 500 record. But I just don't think that I don't know. I don't think that they get into the playoffs. I think they've dug themselves into way big of a hole, and this defense has just fucking been bad. You got shredded by the Patriots.
Yeah, by Jacoby Ellsbury, Jacoby Brissett. Sorry, if Jacoby Ellsbury is torching that defense,
that would be bad.
I mean, then we got some real problems. Falcons Bucks. Falcons get a big win over a very depleted Buccaneers team. Down his top 2 targets, Baker still throws for 330 and 3 touchdowns. Can't argue a whole lot with that. But again, getting back to the whole Marvin Harrison Jr. thing with Kirk Cousins, good things happen when you throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. Mm-hmm. Good things happen when you use Bijan Robinson. Good things happen when you put both of those guys in the game plan. Unlike last year, I mean, granted, different coach, different quarterback, different situation, but you would think when you have those 2 studs, that are drafted very high, you would want to use your toys. Mm-hmm. But Artie Smith didn't do that, and now he's
absolutely, and also Kirk Cousins changes everything. The guy can make all the throws. For all those receivers, I'm talking the Pitts, the Drake Londons, even Bijan Robinson, when they find out that Cousins is coming to play quarterback at the Falcons, they all have to be, like your quarterback last year and Desmond Ridder is not even on a team right now. So that tells you just the fucking situation that they were in last year with not even having a serviceable quarterback. Now this year, you go from not having a serviceable quarterback to Kirk Cousins, who I think has never gotten the credit that he really deserves.
Nope, I agree. And dude probably has the Kurt 2 Chainz. Love that. Love that. Packers get a big dub down in Jacksonville. We saw a little glimmer of the old Trevor Lawrence here, 2Ks. Mm-hmm. We really did. Mm-hmm. Probably the first game. I know it's the first game all year that he's thrown for over 300 yards.
Yeah, and against a
very good defense.
A very good defense. So, yeah, it looked like maybe Jacksonville's figuring some things out offensively. They looked like even though they lost this game, I think they're probably going to be a little bit upset about it just because of the comeback that they had, and then they just kind of another game that they don't necessarily get blown out on, just another close game that they just can't find a way to win. So they're probably upset about that. But I think, Jacksonville's kind of got to take this one with stride. Like, hey, at least we looked pretty damn good, because I think this Green Bay team is very, very legit.
I think it's all gonna matter how hurt Jordan Love is.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him go out with a knee. I believe it was a knee. Either week 1 or week 2, and that's when they brought Malik Willis in, kind of the whole Malik offense as opposed to.
And they were fortunate at that time with who they were playing. So they went through the Colts, they went through the Titans, and they were kind of fortunate for that. But now, if Malik Willis has to be the guy, they go to Lions next week.
Yeah,
that's not good. No. And they have the Bears defense the week after that. That's not good. Then they got San Fran the week after that. So they're going into a little bit of a gauntlet,
regardless of who's playing quarterback.
Schedule.
But yeah,
they need,
especially if Malik is. Yeah,
you're hoping that Love's going to be the guy and going to be ready to go. And even for me, being a Lions fan, obviously I want the Lions to win that game, but I want to face Jordan Love.
Yeah. Colts go down to Houston, another nail biter. But we kind of saw C.J. Stroud get back to form here, 2Ks. He throws for almost 300 yards and a touchdown. Joe Mixon goes for a hundo. But so does Jonathan Taylor. I mean, and I watched part of this game, and there were so many people clamoring, we need Joe Flacco. Mm-hmm. We need Joe Flacco. We need Joe Flacco. I'm not saying Flacco would have led them to a dub, but I mean, I'm not really sure if the Anthony Richardson experience is working out as nearly as well as Indianapolis Colts fans had probably thought.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying pack it in quite yet, but it's very, very close.
I don't know. To me, the story with this game is the Texans. You see Diggs go down with a non-contact knee injury. Does not look good. And I think that's kind of been a major reflection with the with CJ Stroud being able to, I mean, you got to kind of throw away the Packers game. He was offensively, they were terrible in that game. Packers defense was really, really good. But Texans today, they're able to move the football. Stroud looked a lot better. Still not able, struggling to score touchdowns, so having to settle for field goals, not being able to get the ball in the end zone. I think the biggest thing is there is you're missing your target. You're missing Nico Collins. Nico Collins is your touchdown scorer. He's your guy that can go up and get it and catch those those tough catches in the end zone. And they don't have him now. Their next best receiver, and Diggs goes down. You're gonna need Nico Collins back real soon because I don't know if the Texans have the firepower. All of a sudden, that receiving core that may be the best in the NFL, you got two of them missing, and now you're relying on Tank Dell, who was your number 3. All of a sudden, that receiving core went from one of the best to down at the bottom. So hopefully Nico Collins will be back, and hopefully the injury to Diggs today is not as serious as what it looked, but it didn't look very promising.
Saints go over to LA, get thumped 26-8. The Saints team's about dead.
They're just so hurt and have nobody and relying on a rookie quarterback that was not supposed to play this year. I'm not saying give up on Rattler and he's never going to be a guy, but he was a project. He wasn't supposed to be throw him in a starting lineup and play him right off the bat. So
no.
You feel bad for Kamara. It's like what's the guy have to do?
He just got extended, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the guy got to do to get on to be on a serviceable team? Because
not sign an extension.
He's one of the best in the NFL at his job. Not only running between the tackles, but what he can do after he catches the ball, and he's just a fucking playmaker. It's so fun to watch. But it just seems like he's never been around like that supporting cast where you can really see the best of him.
Bills go over to Seattle, get a big win, 31-10. The Seahawks team's in a bad way right now.
Yeah, they got a lot to figure out, and they're just not a very good football team. But on the other side, Josh Allen playing like an MVP caliber quarterback, and he has found a guy in Keon Coleman, rookie.
Yep.
That I think that as the weeks have been going on, in the first few weeks of the season, you just weren't seeing a whole lot of Coleman. Now all of a sudden you're starting to see him on the field all the time, and I think that there's now a trust between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
The targets are going to go up, and they're going to continue to go up. And Keon Coleman is, for me, somebody that needs to be looked at and watched very closely because he could be a rookie of the year by the end of all this, especially having Josh Allen as his quarterback. And then the other thing, Cook. We got to start talking about him as being one of the best running backs in the NFL. James Cook. He is a fucking stud. Whether it's running the ball, catching the ball, he's a stud, and he just has a nose for getting in the end zone a lot.
And Dallas just activated his brother, correct?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But no, we talked last week. I believe it was Cody, I think. Him and I kind of agreed, like, right now the MVP should be Josh Allen 1, Jared Goff 2, Lamar 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of, but if you look at FanDuel, Patrick Mahomes is still very high towards the top.
Oh, for sure, 100%. He's always he's undefeated. They just keep finding ways to win. Obviously adding DeAndre Hopkins, they're only gonna continue to get better, work better together. The more that this goes on, Travis Kelce had his best game of the season by far today. No, I think good things coming for Kansas City, and Mahomes he's got to be in the conversation. Like, he always has to be. But the thing about Mahomes is he could give two shits about that MVP. He just wants the Super Bowl trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah, be the first ever three-peat. I don't have a whole lot much to say about the Panthers and Broncos. Broncos look good. Bo Nix is, I'm not going to say playing lights out, but he's progressing very well.
Finds ways to win football games.
Yeah,
and you have to respect that out of him. I think he's just a gamer.
Three touchdowns and no picks. Yep. 284 yards.
Continue to take care of the football and not turn it over. And Sean Payton, I mean, he just continues to put him in situations where, he can take care of the ball and not have to feel like he needs to do too much. And I don't think Denver is anything to be.
They're 5-3.
Yeah, I mean they're solid, but I don't think that they're anything like to be super worried about or like they're going to be a contender. But they are a team that could make the playoffs.
And if they do that defense is still very good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did give up 14 points to the Panthers, but the Panthers are actually a professional football team, even though it doesn't look like it from week to week. But yeah, the Broncos defense can still get after you, and they run the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, all Knicks has to do is not turn it over. And if I remember correctly, this was a pretty big spread coming into this game. So, yeah, big win for Knicks. Big win for Knicks. Chiefs go to Raiders. This was probably closer than what Chiefs fans really were comfortable with. 27-20. But you already hit the nail on the head with Travis Kelce. Gets his first touchdown of the year. Has probably his biggest game. 10 catches, 90 yards. Mahomes has more of a Mahomes type game. 27-38, 262, 2 touchdowns and a pick. But if you can't beat a Raiders team that has Gardner Minshew, no disrespect to Gardner Minshew, but I mean, this team's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much Brock Bowers is a rookie, is trying to keep this offense afloat. And I mean, for instance, 2Ks, they still have Amir Abdullah on their roster. Didn't even know that guy was still in the NFL.
Yeah, the thing with the Chiefs are they just keep on finding ways to win these games, and I think it's just been a really I think it's just been kind of a really simplified Chiefs, what you're used to of seeing the Chiefs offensively. Like it's just they just keep on doing whatever they need to do to win, and then all of a sudden, when they get into the biggest games and they get into the playoffs, you're going to see plays from Xavier Worthy that you haven't seen all season long, and they're going to start, and you're going to see DeAndre Hopkins become more and more of a person in this offense. And Kelsey's always going to be consistent, get his numbers and do what he does. But we haven't even seen what Andy Reid's got fucking drawn up in the back of back of that book, what he's ready to pull out when he needs to. And that's how when they drafted Xavier Worthy, it was like, okay, the rich just continue to get richer. You have the fastest guy now in the NFL, and now you're giving Andy Reid this fucking toy that he gets to play with, and he's just going to. I mean, you're going to see plays, like I said, when they get into the playoffs, all of a sudden there's just going to be these 2 or 3 different plays that you haven't seen all season long, and they're going to lead to touchdowns with him. And it's just what the Chiefs do is just, to me, it's just magical. Like, it's crazy.
Well, I think Pat McAfee says it the best. The Chiefs are the Chiefs.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be the way it goes, as long as
they're the standard. They're the standard of the NFL. They're what the Patriots were with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They were the standard. Everybody wanted to be them. Everybody hated them, but everybody wanted to be them. And that's what the Chiefs are now. Everybody hates them, but everybody wants to be them.
Well, let's take one quick peek here at the last game on the docket. We kind of teased it a little bit. Bears at Commanders. And this featured 2 quarterbacks that are going to be forever compared to one another. Caleb Williams taking number 1, Jaden Daniels taking number 2. And as a Bears fan, we've seen Caleb Williams progress. This game here, he couldn't. That offensive line couldn't block anybody.
No.
This Commanders defense was absolutely relentless, and this Bears defense, which, I mean, if you look at Daniel's box score here, 21 of 38, 326, and a touchdown, only 2 sacks. You would probably say that, okay, they scored more than 18 points with having that stat line, but the only touchdown that the Commanders got was the walk-off Hail Mary that was defended horribly. It was like a bump set spike drill for volleyball, even though instead of spiking it, dude caught it alone in the back of the end zone.
Well, it was tipped. I don't know. I mean, it was tipped back. Basically, the Commanders ran the play to perfection. Like, they ran it to perfection. My thing is with this is I mean, like we're seeing it on the screen right here. Eberflus has got to go.
I can't stand
Eberflus he's got to go. He is not cut out for having the first pick of the draft in Caleb Williams and having him, and he's your franchise quarterback. He's your guy. You're gonna ride and die on Caleb Williams for the next however many years. Eberflus has got to fucking go. A game like this today, And this was the prime example for me of why he is not cut out to be the head coach of a team that has playoff admirations. Like, they want to go play in the playoff. They want to be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that. You have Washington on the ropes. You should have won that game. They still found a way to even have a chance to win that game. They gave up but you had them on the ropes earlier in the game, and you fucking hand the ball off to an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
How goddamn stupid are you? Like, what are you fucking doing? All of a sudden, it was like that Bears offense got things going. Swift had a couple big carries, things got going, and they worked the ball all the way down to the 1 yard line. You have 4 fucking downs. 4 downs to score a touchdown on that from the 1 yard line, and you're going to lead off with handing it off to a guy who's an offensive lineman, doesn't have a fucking carry on the year, probably doesn't have an NFL carry in his career, and you're going to hand him the ball. It leads to a fucking fumble. Give the ball right back to the Washington. Now, thankfully, the Washington goes 3 and out and gives the ball right back to the Bears, and they're able to drive back down there and score a touchdown and go ahead. And then, Washington has, just this fluke of a play. They throw it up there. The play never works, but in this case, it did work. The football gods handled this one today because Chicago Bears did not deserve to win this football game. And the football gods noticed it, they realized it, and they made it happen. And that's what that is. That's a fluke play. The ball bounces. That play never works.
Unless you're Aaron Rodgers.
And for him, it doesn't work majority of the time, but he just has made it work 3 times in his career. And, he's the best at doing it.
Yeah.
So it happens. But to me, it was like, when I watched it, I couldn't help but just sit back and laugh. I don't give a fuck about either one of these teams, but I just couldn't help but sit back and laugh and say, the Bears got what they fucking deserved. Because they had Washington on the ropes. As bad as they looked offensively, it was almost going to be like that Titans game at the first week of the season. Like, they looked so bad offensively, but their defense is just going to continue to keep them in games and continue to give them chances to win. And the defense bailed out Eberflus over and over again, just like they've done ever since Eberflus has been the fucking coach there. And Eberflus still tried to do things to fuck it up. And
the football gods are undefeated.
Yep, football gods are they're going to get you every fucking time, and it happened. So it was to me, it's funny. Those two kids, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, no panic. They're going to be 2 great.
Oh yeah,
great quarterbacks. There was so much that was put on this game today, and I don't think it really led. It definitely did not live up to the expectations of, I think people wanted points. People wanted to see the offenses moving. It was not an offensive game. It was, but to me, I give kudos to Washington's defense, who hasn't been able to stop anybody.
Yeah.
And I thought they showed up today.
In a big way.
Yeah.
In a very big way. And we got the Cowboys leading the Niners 10-3 at the 2-minute warning leading into halftime. Looks like your boys are kind of playing out here, 2K.
Yeah,
but then again, the 49ers are hurt every which way.
Yeah. Cowboys are a disgrace. They will find a way to fuck this up. They will look like shit in the second half, I promise. The only promising thing is, hey, you got fucking one of the best wide receivers in the game in CeeDee Lamb, and it looks like they've actually decided to fucking use him today. So
it's funny how
that seven receptions going into the half.
Yeah. 7 targets, so he's caught all of them.
Yeah. So,
yeah, but
what you do, you normally have quite a bit of success in the game of football if you get your best playmakers the fucking ball.
Like in Atlanta, like we talked about with Atlanta.
Yep, get him the fucking ball.
Well, 2Ks, I think that about wraps it up here. Anything else we need to touch on? Anything we forget?
Nope.
All right. Well, 2K crew, like we mentioned, we're going to give you our college football playoff scenario, our interpretation, as it sits after next Saturday. So tune in for that. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.